back to another video. Today I'm back with something a little bit different. I have done one of these before. I did it last season. I'm going to be rating every single Swansea City player's season from the 2024-25 season out of 10 based on how they've played across all competitions. I'm only going to be basing this off players who've played at least 3 games. Obviously it's going to be hard to obviously give a rating on players who haven't played any games at all or have played less than 3. So yeah, the likes of, well, Nelson Abbey, Ben Lloyd, Christian Pedersen, John McLaughlin, Andy Fisher as well. You know, all those didn't make enough appearances, you know, for me to be able to rate them. So yeah, it'd be a little bit pointless doing that. But I'm going to be rating, yeah, every other player. Every player who's made at least 3 appearances for us this season. So to start with, Lawrence Vigouroux, he's had an excellent season. I think he's definitely a contender for player of the season. Out of 10, I'm going to give him an 8.5 out of 10. You know, especially for his first season in the Championship, coming up from you know, the leagues below. I think, yeah, it's definitely a very good season for him, especially his first one in the Championship, as I said. So I'm going to give him an 8.5. Kept us in a lot of games. You know, maybe it's you know, just at the start of the season there were games where, you know, we wouldn't have picked up as many points if it wasn't for him. So yeah, I'm going to give him an 8.5. Ben Cabango then, I'm going to give, I think he's been excellent, especially especially when he got given the captaincy after the departure of Matt Grimes. I think he's been really good, so I'm going to give Cabango an 8. Yeah, been absolutely excellent, and I think he's only going to get better from here. Harry Darling then, I'm going to give him an 8. Obviously, it's very interesting to see whether he'll stay. At the time of recording this, you know, there's still uncertainty about that, but yeah, in regards to his season, I'd give him an 8 as well. I think him and Cabango have both been really, really good. So yeah, I'm going to give Ben Cabango an 8. Sorry, Harry Darling an 8 as well as Ben Cabango. Hannes Delcroix then, obviously we loaned him in January. And yeah, I think, you know, he was pretty good for the spell that we had him. It would be nice if we could keep him next season. Obviously Burnley have gone back up, so, you know, will he really get that much game time there? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we can bring him back, but, you know, there hasn't really been any talk of that, so I highly doubt it will happen. But I think as far as his season goes, obviously he was only with us for half of it, but I think what we did have him for, I think he was really good. So I'm going to probably give Hannes Delcroix a 7. Surprisingly, NathanTjoeAOn did actually play 3 games. He made 1 appearance in the league and he made 2 in the cup. To be honest, I can't really see how I can give him anything other than the 6. You know, even 3 games is hard to go off, but, you know, he hasn't really done anything to have a higher rating, but he also hasn't done anything that, you know, that's really stand out bad or anything. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give him a 6. Josh Tymon, I think he's been one of our most improved players this season, you know, as the season's gone on, and I'm pretty sure he's, you know, I'm pretty sure he puts in the most crosses in the Championship. I'm sure I've seen a stat, and he's chipped in with quite a few assists, and he's got a few goals as well for us this season. So yeah, I'm gonna give Josh Tymon, I'm gonna give him an 8.5. I think he's been really, really good for us throughout the season. Josh Key then, I think to start off the season he was a little bit, you know, inconsistent, but towards the end of the season he was excellent, obviously getting that goal of the season award as well, which was an excellent finish against, you know, his boyhood club's rival. So yeah, I think, you know, because of how Key improved towards the second half of the season, I think I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he was really, really good, as I said, towards the end of the season. Cyrus Christie then, obviously his second spell at the club, didn't really go as planned, if I'm being honest. You know, everyone expected us to get the same sort of player that we did in his first spell. I know there's different styles of play, obviously, between Martin and Williams and Sheehan. But not just that, obviously he's 3 years older than when we had him under Martin. So, you know, players are gonna change. It's going to be hard to adapt. But I didn't think he was, you know, particularly that good for us, especially if you compare him to our first spell. But, you know, there's definitely still a player in there, as we've seen in the first spell. But yeah, based off this season, I'm probably going to have to give Cyrus Christie a 5. Sam Parker then made a few appearances off the bench. I know obviously last season he did make quite a few appearances. He had a spell under Sheehan actually when Michael Duff got sacked, but obviously then he was hit by injury and he's come back into the side now this season and made a few appearances off the bench. But yeah, I'm going to give him a 6. Obviously it's hard to give any higher when they've just been substitution appearances, but yeah, not really put a foot wrong in any of those games that he's come on in. So yeah, I'm going to have to give Sam Parker a 6. Kyle Norton then, his last season at the Swans. I'm gonna give him a 6.5. I thought, yeah, he had a pretty good game, if I'm being honest. A pretty good season, so yeah, I'm gonna give Kyle Norton a 6.5. It's such a shame to see him go, but you know, he's been an excellent servant to the club, and I think, you know, obviously I wish him the best of luck in whatever he does. It'd be interesting to see whether he retires or goes elsewhere, but yeah, 6.5 for him. You know, he's always a player who's there when he's needed. Azim Abdullahi obviously started the season with us, and then he joined Leyton Orient then in January, so yeah, he chipped in with a few goals, and I think he scored in the cup, and he also got one in the league as well against Preston, I believe, in a 3-0 win. So yeah, Azim Abdullahi, I think as far as his season goes, I'll probably give him a 6. I thought it was pretty average, but obviously he's now gone on to do very well at Leyton Orient, in all fairness to him. And then Matt Grimes, then our former skipper, obviously started the season with us, and now he's at Coventry. Obviously I'm only rating him based on his season with us. You know, a lot of fans obviously don't like him, or you know, have a bit of, you know, disrespect towards him for leaving, but you know, if you're going to be honest about it, I think before he went to Coventry he was probably still putting in about a 7 out of 10 for us every week, and that's the rating I'm going to give him based on his first half of the season at the Swans. This season I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I thought, yeah, he was really good for us. Obviously, you know, I suppose you probably won't notice until longer down the line if he's going to be a miss. I don't think he has been so far, but I think that's because we've obviously got him Franco and we brought in LewisO'Brien. But yeah, Grimes, are going to give him a 7 out of 10. Giancarlo Franco, our player of the season, for me, I'm going to have to give him a 9 out of 10. He's been absolutely excellent this season, and you know, no wonder why he's attracting interest from clubs elsewhere. You know, back in Portugal, you know, it'd be interesting to see if we can keep hold of him. I think if we could, it would be a really good sign of, you know, intent, and I think it would be yeah, very good for the club if we could keep him. But as I said, I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 because he's been absolutely excellent, and he's one of the most exciting players that we've brought in to the club for a long time. So I'd like to keep hold of him. Jay Fulton, then, a man who comes under, you know, a bit of stick at times, but you know, this season I think he's just gone about his business very quietly, done the job, no problems at all. So I'm gonna give Jay Fulton, I'm gonna give him a 6.5 if I'm being honest with you. So yeah, I think he's done, you know, a very steady, tidy job for us this season, and yeah, I think overall he is a very underrated player, to be honest. Joe Allen, then, obviously is his last season, just like Kyle Norton. I'm going to give Joe Allen a 6 out of 10. Obviously he didn't make as many appearances as he would have liked, but obviously that's going to happen as you know, get further down the line in your career. But obviously he did get a goal as well in 2025. So the last year in his career he picked up a goal as well, which, you know, is always good to do that, especially for a player who doesn't actually get that many goals, I think. Yeah, obviously got that goal against West Brom, and I think yeah, he has been good despite his age. You know, he was a bit shaky for Wales, but you know, as I said, that's going to happen as you get older and as your career goes on. But yeah, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Ollie Cooper, I think I'm also going to give him a 6 out of 10. Yeah, a bit disappointing from him this season. Obviously, you know, a couple of seasons ago under Martin, and last season he was excellent. Obviously, I know this season it's not really been his fault because he hasn't really been picked and had as much game time as he would have liked. And I think, you know, he's definitely a player in there. We've seen that in previous seasons. So yeah, it's just a shame really, because yeah, obviously he was finding himself in the team, and now he hasn't really been receiving that much game time. But yeah, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Miles Peart-Harris, then, obviously his spell at the club got cut short due to injury, and then he got sent back to Brentford. But yeah, he was really good for us. I think he chipped in with a few goals. You know, he was being picked in the side over Ronald and Yom sometimes, and you know, he's probably outperforming them. Before Sheehan come in, I think Sheehan's got the best out of Ronald and Yom. But yeah, Peart-Harris has done very well for us. It'd be good if we could keep him next season, but again, nothing's really been spoken about that. So yeah, but I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10. LewisO'Brien, absolutely excellent. You know, he's got a lot of experience, played for Forest. You know, I was very shocked when we managed to get him in. You know, a player of his quality and ability, and we managed to get him in the Championship. And I think, you know, out of all the loan players, if I wanted anyone back next season, it would be him. But again, there doesn't really seem to be much talk of that. But I'd love it if that did happen. But LewisO'Brien, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I think he's been excellent this season. Well, for the time we had him. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Ji-sung, I'm probably going to give him a 6.5 out of 10. I don't want to be too critical, but, you know, at the start of the season, he was finding his feet a little bit, which is very much expected. But towards the end of the season, he's, you know, picked up a little bit and he's starting to really perform, chipping in with a few goals. Obviously, he went a while without his first one, and now he's got a couple. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 6.5. Josh Ginnelly, he's only played a couple of games. Obviously, he's returning from injury. I'm going to have to give Josh Ginnelly a 5. You know, it's going to be hard to rate him any higher than that. Obviously, not playing many more games. So yeah, I'm going to have to give him a 5. I really hope next season he can play a key part, because, you know, that's what we brought him in for, and there's definitely a player in there. But as for this season, I'm going to give him a 5. Florian Bianchini, I'm probably going to give him a 5.5. I think, you know, he struggled to get in the team at times. Obviously, Vopotnik and Cullen are, you know, preferred over him. So yeah, he has struggled to get into the team, but I think, you know, maybe next season he can play a bit more of a part. Obviously, he has still chipped in with a few goals this season, and, you know, there is a player in there, I think. But yeah, as for this season, I'll give him a 5.5 out of 10. Ronald, the same as Yom. I think I'm going to give Ronald a 6.5 out of 10. I think he's another player who comes under a lot of criticism, which, you know, at times I do understand, but I think, you know, he's definitely one of our most important players when he's on his day. It's just the problem is he's not always on his day. You know, you've got players like Franco, who's important to us, and he always performs, whereas I think Ronald is a player who's very important to us, but it doesn't always show his best. So I'm going to give him a 6.5 out of 10. And then, you know, next season, now that'll be his 3rd season at the club, he's settled in. Hopefully if Franco stays, that'll help, but that certainly has helped him this season anyway to settle in even more. But I'm going to give him a 6.5. Obviously, he's starting to take his man on a bit more now, put more crosses in. He just needs to, I think, chip in a bit more with some goals and assists, and I think, yeah, that's probably the only downside to his game. Liam Cullen, I'm going to give Cullen, it's hard with Cullen, because obviously he's still our top scorer, very important player, and, you know, he's been in and out of the team and he's been playing, you know, a bit further behind the striker at times, and he's still our top scorer. So I think I'll give Liam Cullen, I think I'm going to give him a 7. You know, he always gives his best. He's always chips in with goals when you need them. Scored against Cardiff again this season, so, you know, he shows up in the big games, and yeah, he's playing, you know, really well a bit further behind the striker. So I think, yeah, I'm going to give Cullen a 7 out of 10. Zan Vopotnik, I'll give him a 6.5. I think at times he struggled, but again, just like Yom and Ronald, that's expected, you know, when you're coming from a different country. So yeah, obviously he's got a few important goals as well. He scored against Preston at the start of the season, got that equaliser against Leeds, scored against Derby away. So yeah, he's chipped in with a few goals, and I think he is the type of striker that I think we need, and I think he is one, if he gets the right service, that can score 15 plus goals a season. So I'm hoping he has a season like that next season. But as for this season, I'm going to give him a 6.5. And I'm going to give the managers a rating as well. So Luke Williams, I think I'm going to have to give him a 5. You know, obviously it didn't go to plan in the end, but, you know, there were stages where it looked promising, but I think for the most part, you know, it was a bit disappointing, to be completely honest. And in terms of Alan Sheehan, I think I'm going to have to give Sheehan, I think I'm going to give him a 7. You know, he's steadied the ship. He's got a few results. He's got the best out of players. He gets them up for the game. So I think, yeah, obviously he's got the permanent job now, and I'm really excited for what's ahead. But yeah, that's it for this video for ranking every Swansea City player season out of 10. I'll be back again with a few more videos while the off season is here. So yeah, as I said, once again, a massive thanks for watching this. Subscribe if you're new, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.